Welcome to Real Talk, Real Women, Breaking the Silence Around Abuse. I am Gemma Serenity Gorokov, your host, and today we have a special guest, Kim Lebbing. Thank you so much for joining us, Kim. How are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you, Gemma, for having me. I'm excited to be here and share.
Absolutely. So let's start with your one-liner. Who are you? Who do you serve?
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm Kimberly Lebbing. I'm a transformational coach, and I help coaches create rapid results in their clients in 4 hours or less by combining neuroscience and intuition.
You got it. That's pretty amazing. Absolutely love it. Okay, so as we are on Real Talk, Real Women, Breaking the Silence Around Abuse, my obvious question is what kind of abuse did you overcome in your life?
Thanks for asking. So mainly it was emotional and verbal abuse from my father. My parents married really, really young. I think that has a lot to do with it, but he had this very explosive burst of anger, was really a bully to me. So there was lots of verbal abuse that happened, and constantly felt like I was walking on eggshells.
I understand that. Okay, and that lasted for 1, 2, 3 decades, or did that stop at some point?
It stopped when I left. When I so it was really not, I didn't know any different. So I mean, from the day I was born, there was making fun of, almost like teenagers ridiculing, somebody younger, sort of that, because that's where they were. My mom was just surviving in, the relationship. But he was really quite the bully. So, and if things didn't go his way, or if things were out of order, if something was, not put away or not done right, or in his mind, right, he would just have these explosive anger bursts that made you feel like something really traumatic was going to happen, something really terrible was going to happen, even though he never hit us. I have a sibling. He never hit us, but you always felt like he was going to, because he would throw things. He would just really big, explosive anger bursts. And honestly, like, that was disruptive because I felt like I was always trying to hide and had to do the perfect steps in order to just survive. But another piece of it was the verbal abuse and the bullying and the constantly telling me that I wasn't smart and that I was stupid, and making fun of my intelligence. And that went so deep. It was so constant that that affected me forever. The other did too, but well, I say forever. I'm past it now, and it was a long time. I did not realize how deep and how hurtful the words were, and how it really shaped who I became in my earlier life. So it wasn't until my parents eventually divorced, my mom got away. Still remember the day that she got away, put us in the car, and we left abruptly. And it wasn't until then that I was able to start really healing. And even then, because I was a teenager, I went through a lot of turmoil and depression. I was suicidal, lots of things that I went through before I was able to really start to understand that I needed to work on myself.
This is totally understandable because when you grow up with such a pressure to improve yourself all by getting negative feedback all the time, there is a time when you just say, okay, so I'm not even worth trying, so why even living? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Let me out of that life because that life hurts so much and I don't know what to do with that. Something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was in a deep, dark place for a long time. I drank like a fish. I tried drugs, but they never really worked for me. So I didn't stick, but I drank a lot. And it was just numbing. It was just my version of numbing the pain that I had been in. I had absolutely no confidence in myself, no worthiness. I was really down in a deep hole.
Mhm.
Ironically, it makes sense now that I know what I know. Even when I went to school, I would get bullied by other people. And you know how you attract what you believe. So kids at school, I would get bullied just pretty much anywhere I went. And it took a lot to really overcome that. So once I got to college, I drank my way through college, and I and that was really my pivotal moment that something needed to change because I saw my mom. My mom came to the hospital, and when I saw her, I was like, I'm never letting myself get this low again. It was really a pivotal moment for me, and a long journey ahead to pull myself out of the depths of sorrow and depression that I was really deeply in.
I can understand that. And about what age were you when you hit rock bottom at that moment in time?
When I healed from that moment,
When you hit rock bottom, when you
oh,
decided, okay, it's too much, I must change, something must happen. About what age were you at that time?
I was probably around 22 or 23. I was still in school.
Okay,
So,
so pretty early on in your early
yes,
20s that you suddenly realize, okay, I'm done. I cannot continue that way. I must change something.
yes. Yes,
And
it's interesting though, is my journey in the beginning was going to, I got involved in counseling, and that helped some. I ended up getting married, had some kids, and it really wasn't until I was functioning. We'll just say that I was functioning through life. I got myself to a good enough state that I was, doing okay, but I still didn't feel good about myself. I just knew I didn't want to go back to that really low moment again. So my kids kept me motivated. Other things served as a distraction to keep me going. But I still didn't I didn't go to the deep work until after I had become an entrepreneur and started my own business.
how interesting. So the fact of deciding to become an entrepreneur led you on the path of real inner healing and transformation. Before
Yes.
that, it was a yearning for change. It was an intention to change, but no tools.
Right. Yeah, totally. Totally. I mean, I had some tools, but I still, even as a mom, I still drank. I didn't drink as heavily, but I was still doing the numbing. I was still just coping to get by. I still didn't have any type of self-worth or confidence in myself and what I could do. I had a pretty low opinion of myself in general.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Wow. So, to the audience, you can feel and understand where Kim was, and you can probably recognize a little bit of your story in hers. I really invite you to consider if Kim is on Real Talk Real Women right now, that means that she has overcome that period of time. That means that she has something so powerful to get yourself out of your abusive and toxic situation, of whatever reason it is. And oftentimes we have internalized all that trash talk coming from before, coming from someone who was abusive, coming from even just your explanatory style sometimes. When something goes wrong, you know that you are in charge of making it right. And instead of just saying, you know what, I'm just going to make it right, you think to yourself, oh, I am such a, and then you put a ton of trash talk behind that. That is self-abuse. And that actually crush your self-esteem to such a low point that then getting yourself out of that becomes increasingly more difficult. This is where Kim Lebbing comes into play with her transformational coaching. And by the way, I can do that too. But the way she does it, it's extremely powerful. Mixing neuroscience, intuition, and having such a wide variety of tools to choose from to go straight to the goal of healing you, that is unique. So that is her unique selling proposition. I'm just going to tell you that. All right. So Kim, tell us a little bit about your healing technique. How do you go with that neuroscience? Where did you include neuroscience in your rapid transformation technique?
So I want to backtrack a little bit because it wasn't until I was introduced to neuroscience that a really true healing started to happen. And I still remember the day walking into a seminar to someone that was teaching about it and talking about the importance of our words and how we grew up and the language patterns and behavior patterns. And it was really a big wake-up call for me to understand that a lot of the things that almost actually everything that I was doing, believing, saying, the actions I was taking, the way I was talking to my kids, all of it was a direct link to what had happened to me in the past. And I had the power to change it, was the huge lesson in it. So I now, what I do in the work that I do, the neuroscience piece, is I work with those core filters that are here in your brain, the core emotions that develop a person's patterns, actions, and behaviors. And we go back to the core reason of why you are having the problem or the thing that's going on with you. And we shift it. We shift it neurologically. We shift it on a subconscious level. I have a lot of intuition. A lot of it is because of the way I grew up. I am really good at detecting patterns and picking up on language because I had to be to keep me safe. So I use those skills now to help and identify the patterns that my clients have so that we can go right to the core of it, shift it, and many times it's done in that 4-hour session. There may be more work to do, but we do quite a bit in just that 4-hour session, so that they're no longer thinking the way that they were, changing it at its core.
So are you running masterclass where you take a group of people during that 4-hour session, or are you really working one-on-one and really like having a preferred, privileged conversation with one person at a time?
It is so both. I have done groups of people. I've actually worked with corporate teams. Everybody has things. So it doesn't matter where you are, what your work is. I mean, everybody has stuff. So I've worked in, whole teams and groups of people. And then most of my work has been one-to-one. And now I'm teaching other coaches how to do this process so that more people can help heal, because I really believe the world is ready for faster transformation and bigger changes quicker. It just heals. It heals so much. Just one person shifting and getting this into the hands of more people is just going to help heal the world.
That's amazing. We really have to get your online course to teach other transformational coaches on a global e-learning platform to make sure that so many more people can get access to it. We're going to get into that. Okay, so you finally understood the way through to really go straight to the root cause and understanding where to shift one core belief. And by changing that, the entire timeline changes. And that is true. I have healed so many of my own trauma from 15 years of domestic violence. And actually, already before, the number of inner child wounds that we healed by finding it, shifting it. It changes the entire life timeline. Before and after. Ancestral healing is exactly the same thing. Future as well. How do you change your future or your present? It's really by accepting to look at those shadow part of yourself.
Yes.
That's really
yes,
what it is about.
Yes.
Wow. Kim, thank you so much for bringing that so important topic to our awareness. And we do understand that you have quite an extensive experience in the pain, in the transformation, and in now the teaching of the transformation, as well as implementing it for your clients and probably for yourself too, every time you find another layer of something. Wow. So just to make sure, can we apply your technique to ourselves, or do we need someone to apply it on us?
So you need to learn it in order to be able to apply it to yourself. So it can be, I actually take myself through it now that I've been doing it as much as I have, often. So, well, I say often, now it's not as often because I don't need it as much as I used to. But in the beginning, yeah, I mean, I would take myself through it. So, but you do have to learn the process in order to do that. Typically, if I'm working one-on-one with a client, they don't learn it. We work on the big thing, and I'm doing it with them, and I'm not actually teaching them how to do that. So it's really a little bit separate, but they do walk away with tools that they can easily apply, besides the great big 4-hour.
Mm-hmm. And do you provide a recorded guided meditation tailored for that client, or that is not in your toolbox?
I do not. Honestly, it's not necessary because with this technique, the implementation happens immediately. So behavior changes happen right away. So you don't have to keep repeating something to yourself, or, you know, of course, there'll be other changes in habits and things that you want to implement. And I have tools for that. But as far as you're not fighting yourself in order to change the behavior, if that makes sense, because I remove the thing that was causing you not to do it in the first place.
And do we replace it by something positive, uplifting, serving us? Or
oh, absolutely. Yes.
Replace?
Yeah, that's part of the process.
Okay. Just to make sure.
Yes. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, and
but
what
it
comes in, right?
Yes, but because it happens on a subconscious level, the changes take place immediately. So there's a new embodiment, new energy that happens right away.
Fabulous. Kim, what is your website or a URL or social media? How can people get a hold of you?
So the website is kimberlylebbing.com. Right. And as far as socials go, I mostly show up on Facebook. I'm on all the platforms, but if you really want to follow me, you can go to my Facebook page, or actually my personal profile is where I post the most, and it's just my name, Kimberly Lebbing. And if you are a coach, you will also see on my personal profile a link to my group, which is rapid results for coaches, where we talk about the neuroscience and the intuition and how that can help your clients and your business grow.
Fabulous. Kim or Kimberly Lebbing, thank you so much for having joined us today. Thank you for enlightening us with this revolutionary method of yours. And thank you for sharing a little bit of your life. We truly appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me, Jim. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.